they did it. They made a good Mario movie. And yeah, that was amazing. I really enjoyed that. I probably enjoyed it more than most people due to the fact that I may be a bit of a Mario fan. Let's be honest, I'm a huge Mario fan. But yeah, even though I probably liked it more than most people, I feel like still, it's an objectively good movie. Like, it's very good and better than most of the movies that Illumination has made. Illumination kind of has a reputation of making mediocre, standard, subpar movies. Aside from, like, the first and second Despicable Me movies, it's just, like, their movies have been kind of infamous, but the Mario movie was way more memorable than any of the other movies that they've made. Like, I can't believe this was even made by Illumination. Like, I'm getting a lot of elements of, like, DreamWorks movies and even Sony Pictures animation movies from this. And it's just great overall, and it was a really fun watch. There were just a lot of elements that I really enjoyed about this. Like, the references, of course. Like, there were a ton of references, and just being a Mario fan, I kind of geeked out during the entire movie. I probably talked a little more than I should have, like, to my friends, like I was noticing, oh, it's that one thing from Mario 64! It's just like, that was the whole movie for me. I kept, like, pointing out different things, and, like, it was fun. It was just fun pointing out all of those references, and, like, it was really fun. And the way they incorporated those references, it didn't even feel forced. Like, sometimes in reboots or various movies or adaptations of different things, when they reference things, it feels fairly forced. But the references that they actually had in this movie actually felt like they were implemented pretty well. Like, they kind of blended in with the world, but they were still, like, obviously able to be picked out and kind of noticed by fans or anyone else. But, like, the way they incorporated the references in this movie were great. And I mean, some of them, like, went a bit farther than references. Some of them were actually, like some of the things that I wasn't expecting at first, or some things that tied in with the actual games, or actual plot points, and actual, like, things that were canon in the Mario universe. Even though this movie technically isn't canon to the games, like, they still kind of followed a lot of, like, the rules of Mario games in terms of, like, things that can happen. I'm not gonna spoil, like, any of these instances, but I kind of appreciated noticing some of these things, because, like, as a longtime Mario fan, just kind of noticing these little details was pretty fun. And about, like, the world of the movie in general, the different settings were great. Like, starting out in Brooklyn, like, I really like how they incorporated, like, a lot of references there. I mean, this was already shown in the trailer, so it isn't necessarily a spoiler, but they showed, like, a lot of, like, references to older Nintendo games, like Punch-Out. That's the only one I'm gonna say, because it might be spoilers going beyond that, but they referenced Punch-Out along with a lot of other older Nintendo games. So I thought that was really cool, and seeing Foreman Spike in the movie was great. Like, I'm not gonna go any farther with that, but just seeing him in the movie, the way they portrayed him was great. Because, I mean, that technically isn't a spoiler because they already revealed it, but I appreciated that part. And then going into the Mushroom Kingdom, or even Bowser's Kingdom, and the different areas like that, and then also, like, the DK Jungle, like, these worlds feel really fleshed out. Like, the games, aside from maybe the RPGs, don't really give these worlds justice with how, like, interesting they are. Like, in the games, they mostly kind of fly by, or you just kind of get, like, a good look at how they are as you're kind of, like, platforming through the different areas. But this movie really gives, like, the Mushroom Kingdom, or all the other Mario areas, a chance to really kind of express that they're interesting places. And, like, one example of this in the trailers was, like, the antique shop in Toad Town, the Mushroom Kingdom area, where there was, like, one of the shopkeeper toads that was, like, blowing out an NES cartridge. Like, the attention to detail in this movie is great, and I really appreciated it. And it seems like they're like also making a lot of creative decisions for this movie, like almost similar to the Mario RPGs with how they kind of implemented some of the things. Like with some of the plot points in the movie that I won't talk about here, I'm probably going to do a spoiler video sometime soon. But the way they had some of the characters, like there's like a whole like species of Kongs with different designs and things. And while the Toads did have a fairly standard design, not really much variation, there were a few unique Toads in there, like the guard Toads shown in some of the posters, and I think some of the trailers were pretty cool to see. So there were, like, and then also with Bowser's minions as well, like the Koopas, some of the Koopas had different designs. So it's nice to see that they didn't, like, rigidly stay strictly to, like, certain standards and things. Like, they were able to have some breathing room here with the character designs, and it felt natural. Like, with the characters in this movie, it didn't really feel like a standard New Super Mario Bros. Thing here. Like, it felt like it had some breathing room, and it actually felt natural with how they portrayed some of the things in the movie. And speaking of natural, I feel like Chris Pratt actually felt natural as Mario. Surprisingly, I was really surprised by that performance of Mario in the movie. I was pretty doubtful that it would be that good. And everything. I was pretty skeptical of Chris Pratt, like, with the trailers. The trailers did not do it justice at all. Like, if I were to give the trailers anything, like, because, like, I feel like they did reveal a little too much about the movie, one thing that they didn't reveal is how surprisingly good Chris Pratt is with Mario. I mean, like, obviously, I feel like Charles Martinet would have worked better as Mario. Like, I feel like he really should have had that role in everything. Charles Martinet is in the movie and everything with some role. I'm not gonna reveal them because they're spoilers, but I'm glad that he was in the movie and everything, and he does have a fairly important role in the plots. Like, he doesn't appear like that much, but like he does have some fairly important role in the movie. But going back to Chris Pratt as Mario, it actually worked surprisingly well. Like, I didn't even like notice or think about it being well, I did notice it, but I didn't really think about Chris Pratt voicing Mario throughout the movie. It didn't exactly sound like his voice throughout the movie. I feel like the trailers really took like the worst clips or like the worst voice clips of Chris Pratt in the movie, and kind of, like, I don't know what they were thinking when putting some of those voice clips in the trailers. Like, yeah, it sounds so much better in the actual movie when he's speaking, like, much longer sentences and different things. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it overall. And also the plot of the movie, I would say, is fairly good as well. I mean, like, it wasn't, like, the most in-depth plot for a movie, but it didn't really need one. It was kind of, like, the way they kind of had the plot in this movie, I feel like it was handled fairly well in everything, and it didn't really need too much depth to it. I mean, if they wanted to do a sequel, I could understand, like, a sequel having more depth to its plot, but this seemed like it was kind of introducing, like, how Mario's origins played out, and like, just kind of looking at how it's, like, Mario's origin story, at least in the terms of the canon of, like, the Mario movies, considering if they're gonna do Mario movies in the future, it did a pretty good job at kind of showing Mario's origin and everything. And one criticism that I do see of the movie is that it's too fast-paced and doesn't have, like, enough, time on some of the moments of the movie. And I actually kind of do agree to that, to a degree, but honestly, I actually kind of liked the fact that it was fast-paced. I mean, sure, I do feel like some of the scenes should have gone on for a little longer. I feel like they did rush through a couple scenes in this movie, and there were some other scenes that I feel like were long enough, but I feel like in general, I did like how the movie was paced. I'm not sure if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but I kind of liked how it was fast-paced. They were able to show a lot of different areas in the movie, and they were able to tie things together pretty well. So I kind of enjoyed that, even though that might be a tiny bit controversial. And yeah, about the scenes that did get enough time in the movie, one scene that I really liked, that technically isn't a spoiler because, again, it was shown in the trailers, is the scene where Mario was fighting against Donkey Kong. I feel like that scene was the perfect length. Like, the middle of the movie was paced fairly well. The beginning was a little too fast, but I feel like the middle of the movie was paced pretty well. But yeah, anyways, those are my initial thoughts on the Mario movie. It was really good, and so far, I definitely recommend seeing it. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server if you want to. Goodbye.